Hello, my name's Terigrayce and welcome to my channel. So I've been working on Land of the Free. It's a pattern by Legit Kits. It's the eagle. It's quite large. It's one of their large ones. It's 60 by 80. And I thought, I'm going to do a video on one of the blocks and show you the tools that I choose to use when I paper piece. And I do a lot of paper piecing. I've really gotten into it the last few years. So maybe I could give you some ideas to help you, or if you are just starting paper piecing or you are thinking about it, this would be good for any paper piecing project. So just to get you started. So I will show you a block, my last block that I just finished, and then I will show you the tools that I use. So let me just show you the last block that I just completed. The block is G2 if you are working on this pattern. It's part of 7 segments. So I had a paper piece, all 7 segments, and then sew the 7 pieces together to get this one block. So I'll show you how I'll work on one segment. On the next block, I'll show you how I do that and how I like to press my seams and what products I use. So I just want to mention real quick before I show you the tools that I like to use that I am not affiliated with any of these companies. These are just the tools that I like to keep in my quilt studio and the ones that I like to use. You need the 1/4-inch rulers if you don't know what this is, if you never paper pieced before. So it has, can you see that? See how it has an edge? That's your 1/4-inch. So I have 2 different sizes. If you only want to purchase one, I get the bigger one so you can handle all sizes. And then I need 2 different size rulers. Again, if you just want one, just get the bigger one. This size works really well for me. I believe it's 12 by 6.5. And I always keep Scotch tape handy because you will be ripping the paper and you want to tape that back again to keep the integrity of the paper. So now you're going to be folding on your paper piecing. You'll see that it has on the template, it has lines. You will be folding the paper on those lines. I find that Mylar works fabulous, and this will last you years. It's not going to wear out. So when I cut the Mylar, I use the edge that I did not cut, the finished edge of the Mylar. That's the side that I fold on. This is the part I cut from the sheet. And some of the paper piecing I do, like Judy Niemeyer, her spikes are really long. So if you ever do one of her patterns, you'll need a bigger piece. So that's what I like to do with that. And then I use glue. Now this is washable glue. It looks purple when you first use it, but it dries clear and it comes out really easy. You can use any fabric glue you want, but again, I do so much of this, it's just more cost effective, and this is easier to acquire as well. Like I could get this at the grocery store or the pharmacy, and they sell it in packs and multiples. It's a lot cheaper. So I prefer this, and it goes on smoother, I think. And then I do spray my fabric, and I love Mary Ellen's Best Press. I don't want to say it never flakes, because if you put it on thick and you don't let it soak in the fabric before you iron it, you will see some flakes. But I love this. This works really well, and I use it so much I buy that by the gallon as well. It's more cost effective. And because I'm using glue, sometimes it will go through past the 1/4-inch, and you will need to, it will show on your quilt. So I just keep a spray bottle with a lid-free rag or cloth close by so I could just scrub it off. It comes off really easy. So those are the tools I like. I keep them very close in hand. So I just want to show you how I organize my fabric real quick. I don't want to get into this too much because it's more about my process in paper piecing. But Legit Kits gives wonderful instructions, and they also give sheets of paper with the color of the fabric and the symbol. So I cut all those out, and I clipped them on each color like this. And then behind, you can see this. This kit is like over 80 colors. So what I did is I clipped that on every single color, and I have it in 2 stacks in alphabetical order. So it's my fabric filing system, and it works really well. So I just wanted to show you that real quick. Okay, so I have all my tools that I just showed you on my sewing table at hand. You're going to need an ironing board really close by. I have this little one that I built, it's on wheels with the little iron. Can you see it? Okay. And then I have my fabric in the background, all my fabric that I need. So I am working on block G1 in this pattern if you are doing the Land of the Free. So I'm going to put the camera down. So this block has 7 segments. I've already done 4, and then I need to do 3 more. So I'm going to be working on this block with you. So I'm going to put all this away. So I have to cut each piece individually. It's just one of a kind. So I'm going to look at these labels for each. There's 6 different colors in this piece. See the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go pick up the fabric, and then I'll be right back. When you noticed, when I picked out my fabric, I started with 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I laid them in that order. So now I'm going to flip them over. So number 1 is on top, because that's a piece I'm going to be working with first. But actually, the first thing I'm going to do, because this is one of a kind and I wouldn't normally fold on every single line before I start on the template, if you had like templates of the same and you were working in that assembly order kind of paper piecing pattern, but this is just the one of a kind. So I'm going to right now take my Mylar and fold each. I'm going to put it on every line, and I'm going to make a crease. I'm going to fold every line. All right, so each line in this template I folded. So we don't need this anymore, put that away. So now I'm going to start with number 1, and I'm going to pull out that color, and then I'm going to cut the piece for this. Take my little, these little clips, I guess they're seam clips. I don't want to lose my label, so I put that aside. Okay. So this is my number 1 right here. I have this line and this line. That's my number 1 piece. So I'm going to put this here. And then I'm going to, this piece is kind of big, so I could kind of fold. So I just want to get that off. That's good. I'm going to make sure your hands are out of the way here. I don't want anybody getting hurt. Okay, move that. If you prefer to use a ruler instead of freehand, if you're comfortable with that, please, by all means, do that. Okay, so I take that piece, I put it aside, fold this up. There's so many colors in this pattern, so you really have to take your time and stay organized. This is not a pattern that you are going to want to rush. And I've learned through the, I've been quilting over 20 years, and I've learned through the years, the more you take your time, the better the quilt comes out. It's just worth it. You spend all this money on fabric and the patterns, just take your time, enjoy the process. So I'm going to put that piece here. So I'm going to continue and cut out the other pieces, and I'm going to line them up all here in order. There's 6 pieces. I don't want them to get out of order, because then I'll have to look up the labels again. But I'm pretty good. So I'll do number 2, I'll cut it out, I'll put it here, and then I will line them up. So let me go do that. I also wanted to point out, while you're cutting out these pieces, you'll end up with some little scraps like this. See that? Do not throw them away. There are some really tiny pieces in this kit, and I would guess that there probably is in other legit kits. So what I do is I take these little pieces and I just clip it with this and I saved them. And actually it's helped me with this next color because I didn't have to cut a piece out. This is perfect. That would go great with that. So that's my number 4. Do you see how, I don't know if you can see this, how I'm lining up the colors. So this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. I have 2 more colors to go. And then I will get to the ironing board before I start sewing. So now I'm going to take them to the ironing board, and I want to show you how I choose to press. So this is right side up. I happen to know I put all my pieces right side up. So I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to give it a good spritz. Let it soak in. If you put the iron too soon to your fabric, after you spray it, that's when you'll get flakiness and stuff. So I'm going to turn it over. This is the back side. It also helps prevent getting residue on your iron if you do it this way. Don't put the iron directly to the side that's been spritzed. All right, make sure it's dry, let it dry. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over, put it back in its place. And I will continue doing that with all 3 of my pieces. Or actually not all 3, all 6 of my pieces. So now I'm going to start, I'm dealing with piece 1 and 2. So piece 1, here's piece 1. So this is the line I'm going to be sewing on. So I want to have, I'm going to cut this and give it a straight edge. Again, I like to keep everything neat and organized. I mean, the straight edge wasn't so bad. Here I'm telling you, to get a sharp blade, it looks like I need a new blade. Okay. So what I'm going to do, this piece goes right here. I want to make sure the fabric goes behind the template, that this fabric, you have to be generous with your fabric. There is some waste with paper piecing, but it's better to be generous than to go through sewing it and you realize you didn't cover the whole section. So I want to leave my 1/4 inch seam here because this is going to be my sew line. I make sure the piece covers all, this is the line, so you want it to come at least a 1/4 inch past that. Looks good. So this is the one and only time I will glue paper to fabric. And I'll just do it lightly. And I'm only doing this so that nothing shifts. So I will put it again right there, keep things accurate. So now here's my second piece. So this piece kind of goes like that. So I will be sewing this to this. So I want to give this a straight, cut that, make sure you get a nice straight line. So this is how it's going to be sewn. So I'm going to flip this over. This is the first 2 pieces are just a little different. After that, it gets a lot easier. Okay, so now I'm going to glue these 2. And if you notice, I'm keeping the glue in the 1/4 inch section. So hopefully you won't see any in front. Press it. Okay, so now I am going to sew on this line. And the glue is keeping everything together. Nothing should shift, which is what I like. So paper piecing, you have to be pretty accurate. Now, do you see this is the first line I'm going to sew, and this is going to be the second line. So because I'm going to be sewing a line crossing over this, I don't have to lock a stitch here, but I will here because there's nothing that will be crossing it. So, and that's not counting. This is the seam line. Don't worry about that. So this, I will not lock the stitch when I start. This one I will because there's no cross line over it. Okay, let's go to the sewing machine. All right, so I have 50 weight thread in the sewing machine. I don't like to use 40. The thinner the thread, the better. You get a really nice fold. And I have the stitch length is at 1.5. And you make the stitch length a little shorter because it's easier to rip the paper, because eventually you're gonna have to rip this paper off. So, okay. So I will not lock the stitch first here. I'm gonna keep on going. And when I get into the seam allowance, which is the dark gray, I will lock the stitch. Get rid of the leaders. Okay, so now this is where you're actually sewing the back of the piece when it comes to paper piecing. I don't know if you could see this. There you go. All right, it's folded over. You want to make sure it's covered this. Actually, you know, when I glue it, I should have turned it over and then folded it a little bit to make sure that it was covering the section that I needed to cover before I started sewing. But it was a pretty big piece, so I was pretty confident. So anyway, there's that. So I am going to go to the iron and press it. Now, because I already starched this fabric, the starch is already in there. So you will get a nice fold without having to spray this while it's on the paper. You do not want to do that. The paper will get all wrinkly and wet, and then it could ruin the integrity of the template. So let me go press that, and I'll be right back. All right, so there's your first two pieces, and look how nice it presses because I had already starched the fabric. So I'm going to turn this over. My next piece is here. Now I need to fold this down on that fold, but before I do that, do you see these stitches here? I have to rip the template away from the fabric. And when I do that, if I can, I try to grab both sides of the paper. Do you see this? And I just rip past that seam. Because again, I have to keep the integrity of the template intact, and that's where the tape comes in. So after I rip it, I'm going to put this over the section I ripped. So now I'm able to fold the next piece down on that line. So now I take my small 1/4 inch ruler, put it here, and I trim it. Make sure you press your piece open before you trim. I've done that before and I've had to rip it out and redo it. Learn from my mistakes. Okay, so there you go. So now this piece is ready to add number 3 onto it. See how it helps having to fold on those lines? I don't have to fold it again, it's all done. Okay, number 3, this is number 3. So this piece looks like it goes like that. I want to make sure, give this a nice straight cut. Because when I cut it out of the fabric, I'm doing it just quickly. I'm not trying to get it accurate at that point. Okay, so it's going to go like that. I turn it over. This is my sew section. Try and keep that glue in the 1/4 inch area. Press this down, and this is what I didn't do before. And this is important because you don't want to find out after you sew. So I'm going to turn this over, and you could see, I don't know if you could see by the camera, but I could see what section needs to be covered. So I'm going to fold this to make sure that it's going to cover that, which is, it does. So I'm good to go. So I'm going to go back to the machine and sew along here. Now, this is the last line here. There's nothing crossing over this line, so I will lock the stitches in both ends. So I have pressed that. I'm going to turn it over, and now I'm going to piece 4. So I will go over here. It's easy to fold the paper because I had previously folded all the lines with the mylar sheet. So I will go like this, and I will trim this to get my nice 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now number 4. Here is my number 4 piece. I'm going to move these down so you can see what's left. Okay, so this goes like this. This is the side I'm going to be sewing. So I want to make this a straight edge. Again, let's see what I'm doing here. Fold this over. I will put the glue on this side. Keep it in the 1/4 inch edge as much as I can, which I'm pretty good. Okay, so fold like this, turn it over, make sure it's going to cover everything, looks good, and we will go take this to the sewing machine. All right, so I went and stitched this. I did a back stitch there. I locked my stitches there. I did not here because look at all, I still have 2 more lines that's going to be crossing over this. If I had locked stitches for all 3 lines, you'd get a buildup of thread here, and you really don't want that. You're going to have enough buildup of fabric here as it is. So I will turn this over. I will finger press this, take it to the iron. It folds, presses very nicely. I'm really happy with that. Can you see how nice that's coming out? Okay. So now I will do this again. So now this next line, I need to fold this down, but I can't because I just stitched here. So I'm gonna have to rip the paper away from the fabric again. So I will bring this up close. I will try and, if I'm able to grab both sides, I will, because it rips easier, neater. Okay, get my Scotch tape. Maintain the integrity of the template by putting this back on and sealing that rip. Okay, so now I could fold this over. Double check before I cut. I've already pressed my fabric open, so I know I'm good to go. All right, there's my next nice seam allowance. This is my sewing line. That's pretty straight, so I don't think I'm gonna cut it. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, turn it over. See how the glue really helps? It doesn't, things don't shift when you're using the glue. All right, so turn it over. Let me make sure everything's going to be covered. That looks, let me make sure. Okay, that looks good. All right, let me go sew this. All right, I'm back. I stitched it all locked here. This end did not lock there because I have 1 more line that's going to go down. So I will turn it over, finger press, give it a nice press with the iron. Do you want to get accurate cuts? So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to take my glue again and I am going to glue down these corners before I trim this piece because I want to make sure this paper is laying flat, and it will make it so much easier when you're sewing the other 6 sections together to complete the block, because then everything will be as accurate as you could, get it. So. I'm gonna hold this up. Can you see those white lines? Those are registration lines. Those are great lines to follow and to help you cut your 1/4 inch. So I'm going to, line up my 1/4 inch on this is the sew line, this black line here, and these registration lines are going to help me make sure that I'm lined up correctly. We are done with this section. Let's look at the reveals. What do you think? Look how nice. I mean, it comes out so, I love the best press. The way I spray it before it goes on the paper, folds really nice. And using that 50 weight thread, you get nice press seams as well. There's less bulk, thread bulk. So I hope these tips that I showed you help you if you're just starting out paper piecing. I mean, the glue and the best press and the Mylar templates, all those things you could use on any paper piecing pattern, really. If this is your first time trying out a legit kit, I mean, have fun. This is my first time doing one of their kits, and it's really a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I can't wait to get to the next block because each block is different. I will be posting videos following up on the Land of the Free Eagle that I'm doing with Legit Kit. Especially when I put it on the long arm, you'll see some of my long arm techniques. And I will be posting other videos. If you enjoy this video, please, press the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the future ones I will be posting. And I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I wish you all the happiness and enjoyment in your quilt journey. So you guys have a great day and hope you join me soon.